Hi, welcome to Happiness Hints. I'm Talia Newland and today I'm talking to Dr. Ian Gawler of the Gawler Cancer Foundation. They offer therapeutic meditation and cancer retreats. Ian also has an Order of Australia medal and he's written a lot of books on peace of mind, meditation and cancer. Ian, first of all, tell me, what did you get the Order of Australia medal for?
I'll just being an all-round good guy, I guess. Actually, it was one of the more surprising things that ever happened in my life. I can genuinely say it, actually. There were a couple of things in my life that came as a total surprise, and it was 1987, and I got a letter in the mail saying I was being given an Order of Australia for my work with cancer in the community generally. It was a genuine surprise.
It's great. I think it's nice to know that people do appreciate what you're doing. I mean, if we were enlightened beings and totally altruistic, we'd be oblivious to all that stuff. But I guess, the sort of work that I've been involved in is had its ups and downs like anybody's work does. I think anybody appreciates some recognition. Tell me about your work now.
Well, I've actually retired from my sort of full-time job at the foundation, and I'm not on the board there. So the foundation that I set up started in 1981 really, and got going formally in 83. It's running itself, which is good. And I go in there and run programs. And with my wife Ruth, who's a GP, we work together running those programs, which are, as you said in the introduction, meditation. We do quite a lot of wellness type work, and we do specific programs for people with cancer. And we also do training programs for people who want to teach meditation.
Great.
So we do that mostly at the centre in Yarra Junction, sort of east of Melbourne. But we do some programs in New Zealand, and this year we're going to do a residential program up in Queensland, meditation retreat up in Queensland.
Now tell us about your latest book.
Well, the most recent one was The Mind That Changes Everything. But just at the moment, my original book, which is the cancer book, You Can Conquer Cancer, is being republished, which seems pretty amazing. It was written in 84. Can you see that?
Yes. Oh, okay.
This is You Can Conquer Cancer in Chinese.
Oh, awesome. Ian has actually lost half of one leg. Ian, I've always wanted to ask you what the story is behind that.
I've lost the whole of one leg.
Oh, okay.
Because I had my leg amputated through the hip in 1975, and that was a result of a diagnosis of osteogenic sarcoma, which is a fairly aggressive form of bone cancer.
Okay.
So that sort of, that happened in 75. And cancer reoccurred later that year, and that sort of set me off in these sort of those were the pioneering days of mind-body medicine, and got me heavily involved in nutritional medicine, and therapeutic meditation, and using the power of the mind in conjunction with healing, health and emotional healing, all that whole thing really. And I was fortunate, I had a pretty tough time for a while, but I managed to get well. And then I went back to my veterinary work, and I just got so many inquiries from people who sort of heard of my story, that I had this idea of gathering people together to save time, basically. I was telling people one after the other, these fundamental truths, like this is what you can do to help your body to heal itself. And being fairly pragmatic, I thought, well, rather than doing that one after another, if I put people in the one room, I could save a bit of time because I was pretty busy with my veterinary practice.
Yeah, yeah, I know, yeah.
That was the sort of fairly pragmatic sort of
Yes.
intention behind starting the groups, and that happened in 81. And then fairly quickly after that, that work really expanded very rapidly, and so I stopped working as a veterinarian in 84, I think it was, about the same time that You Can Conquer Cancer came out.
Right.
And yeah, that sort of that's taken the rest of my life pretty well.
It's great though, really, isn't it? I mean, you had this terrible thing happen to you, which I imagine was one of your big shocks in your life.
Yeah,
but then,
that was a surprise.
Yes, but then out of that has come something that's been of benefit to a huge number of people. So, you know, that it, to me, it kind of says, yeah, at the particular time we see something as really terrible and really tragic, but we don't see that something good could come out of it in the future, and yet it can.
Yeah, and I think that really points to the power of the mind and where we focus it, because I was 24 when I had my leg amputated. I was a decathlon athlete. I was very physical. Yeah. And I could easily have focused on all that I'd lost through that surgery because it was considerable. My veterinary work, I liked working with horses, and that was a major part of my practice, and that became impossible, and all my sport became impossible. It was a huge life change.
Yes.
And I think I could nobody would have been surprised if I got deeply depressed or suicidal. It was a huge sort of change.
Yes.
And this is what the mind does. I recognised that. I was very conscious of that at the time, that I could easily slide down into this really dark hole. And I think as much out of self-defence as anything, I just sort of thought, well, this is a chance to reinvent myself. It's the start of a new life.
Right.
And I think actually I was helped because as a decathlon athlete, I'd sort of come to learn that disability was a relative thing anyway. Because decathlon athletes have to do 10 events over 2 days. So in athletics, it means you've got to be reasonably good at everything, but you don't get to be a star in anything. So compared to the people who competed in the individual events, like the 100 metres or the high jump or the pole vault or whatever, I was relatively disabled because I couldn't keep up with it.
Right.
But over in my particular event, which was to do the 10 of them, then I had some ability. And I think that actually really helped me, actually. I had that sort of realisation. I mean, I still, get around on my one leg and crutches, and to many people I'd be disabled, I guess, but there are lots of people who are slower or have more problems with their mobility. And I think we're all in that situation where we've got things that we can do and things that we can't do. We've got our limitations and our strengths.
That's right.
It's not trite. It's the fact what we make of those potentials and capacities that we do have.
You said you made a conscious decision not to slide down into depression, and I think that is really important, isn't it? That you've actually made this conscious decision to make the most of a situation.
Well, it's very much what happened for me, and I obviously a lot of people suffer with depression, and I help a lot of people that have been having problems with depression, and I really feel for them. But I was fortunate. I think I just seemed to have at that point in my life where it was a real possibility that I could head into that I had the strength of mind. I think actually I remember what happened was it was almost like I got a glimpse into what that life might be like. It was sort of like, it was pretty easy for me to see that if I focused on what I'd lost, I was just going to have a miserable, bitter time. And be direct, that actually really scared me.
Yeah.
That prospect was really, it was really scary.
Yeah.
And so I was fortunate, really, because I found it quite easy to forego dwelling on that side of what I was going through, and to it almost made me more adamant about and more enthusiastic, excited really about the thought that it was like with the surgery, the life I'd been living had died. It was almost like conscious reincarnation.
Yeah.
It was like the life I'd been living had finished. Like I'd been through this major event of having surgery. It was almost like going into some in-between state. And then I re-emerged. So it was almost like being born at 24 with a memory of a previous life and conscious of particular talents and limitations and having the opportunity to think, well, what am I going to do with this life?
That's great. I love that you could see one possibility and just go, no, I don't want to be that person.
Training your mind and having and building strength within your mind, so important that you've got the capacity to do that, because so many people do allow their external circumstances to dictate their state of mind rather than actually using their state of mind to influence their external circumstances.
Yeah. Good.
And you can understand how people get overwhelmed by their circumstances or just get into habits or do it. But, I think for many people, recognising that you do have that capacity to break free and reinvent yourself is really important.
So what happiness hint have you got for us today?
Well, I think it's pretty simple to me. I mean, everybody's attracted to sort of what we would regard as, immediate happiness, or, what's often thought of as short-term happiness. What seems to make me happy, satisfies my own particular needs and desires and pleasures. But I don't think it takes a lot of reflection to recognise that that's pretty limited and somewhat shallow. So, I mean, really, if we reflect on this, the true happiness comes from actually what we can do to help others. And that doesn't mean to say we, become a martyr or a doormat or burn out or wear out or whatever it is. We've obviously got to look after ourselves. But if we restrict our notion of happiness to something that's self-serving, then it's going to be quite limited. So I think it's a matter of how we can actually use the talents we've got to serve others, and it's through that to me, the real long-lasting happiness comes.
Okay, that's great. What about a happiness hurdle for you?
You were talking about getting grumpy as a teacher. The thing that gets me grumpy in my work is the way people have been misled in the cancer arena. And I think it is actually misled to devalue their own potential for healing and to disregard it. More and more, what I think is observable, and it's certainly recorded in the medical literature, so it's not just a sort of a biased or a jaundiced view. I think it's a sad fact that big businesses moved into cancer medicine in a very powerful way, and with their marketing, which is very thorough, and I would say it's almost insidious, because it's actually influenced the community's view that treatments which are very expensive and show marginal benefits are worth putting your main hopes on. And I think there's a real problem around this. Maybe we don't need to dwell on it, but you're asking about what makes me grumpy.
The next question is, how do you deal with that annoyance?
Well, I keep doing the work I do. I'm talking to you, and I hope that people. I mean, these are pendulums. That pendulum swing. And at the moment, I think in cancer medicine, the pendulum swung way out towards the intervention side. And if that was realistic, it would be fine. You know, if chemotherapy was like antibiotics and had as good a track record, that would be fine. But you're getting these new therapies that are coming on that cost $150,000 a year, and you look at the results and they're marginal. And in the main, they're not curative. They're giving people extra time, and often they affect people's quality of life. Now, they do work quite well for some people, but for a lot of people, it's problematic.
So next, I'd love to know who your happiness hero is.
Now you're talking, because I just want you to imagine a sort of scenario, if you would. If you happen to have a partner, just imagine if you managed to get your partner into the boot of your car and you drive them round for an hour and then you open the boot.
Yes, I can imagine that.
Okay, now, take the average dog, stick the dog in the boot of your car, drive him around for an hour, open the boot, and what do you get?
A very happy dog.
Now, you're back. Thank God. You've been driving me around for an hour. Oh, it's so nice to see you. This means we must have gone something. This must be really important. You put me in the boot for an hour. What are we going to do next? And the tail's wagging. Give me a kiss. So my happiness hero's a dog, because that's what they're like. Unconditional.
It's gorgeous.
Lovely,
yeah,
happy.
Yeah. It's so true, isn't it? And so in the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, just, I'm out now, I'm somewhere different. Whoopie-doo, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, did you bring a quote for us? A quote that you like?
Yeah, because, I think for quotes to be of any value, apart from just a sort of a fleeting and sort of, that was nice, they need to be something that helps you to pause and reflect a little. And so when it comes to happiness, my mind goes back to my younger days, and the Beatles came out with a song that had an incredible line in it, which you might remember, which was "Happiness is a warm gun." Yeah, so it was attributed to Lennon and McCartney, but they reckon that actually John Lennon wrote it, which I'm a bit of a fan of his. And he wrote this song, and it was a big hit, and it caused quite a stir, because he claimed that it was written because he was shown a line in a gun magazine, "Happiness is a warm gun." And then he thought it was just such a wild statement that he wrote a song about it. And of course, it's got that sort of entendre, and there's other sort of, the whole song sort of it's got pretty wild lyrics in it. The BBC banned it. I think quite a lot of governments were really unhappy about the fact that their young children were dancing around this song with an interesting quote. And I remember back in the day when it came out, sort of thinking, that's a really interesting thing to say, and what was it really meaning? So, quotes, I think that cause you to pause and reflect are useful. So, happiness is a warm gun.
And after pausing and reflecting on that, how do you interpret that one?
Oh, I think that's for another conversation.
Okay, well, it certainly is one that makes me stop and think, that's for sure.
Yeah,
but
that's the thing with contemplation. It's much better to do your own thinking than have somebody give you an answer as if there is a particular answer, because you'll come to your own conclusion.
That's all for today. We've completed our interview. Thank you so much, Ian, for talking to me.
Pleasure, Talia. Thanks.
You can contact Ian at gawler.org, and if you're in the Melbourne area, there's plenty on offer from Ian. There's also my free guided meditation on MP3 that you can use to help bring meditation into your life. Pick it up at talianewland.com/guided-meditation. And I hope you might be interested to check out my fiction at talianewland.com. In the bookshop there you'll find my books. I write real magic, stories with the power to transform. If you enjoyed this episode of Happiness Hints, please subscribe, or if you're listening on podcasts, please follow. There are lots more videos and podcasts that you can listen to or watch, and there's more coming. So please do subscribe to the channel. I'll catch you next time. Bye.